in this restaurant just right behind us, as three local residents, three upstanding, hardworking family men were brutally assaulted. Over the last 2 weeks, all three have sadly lost their lives because of the injuries they sustained during the attack. Our community has been shaken to its core. Today is a very difficult day, a solemn day, but it is also a proud day. I am proud to see so many people who have come out on this cold Friday morning to declare that an attack on one is an attack on all. If someone comes after one of us, they're coming after all of us. We have assembled here today in unity and in brotherhood with the Asian American community in Sheepshead Bay and throughout New York City. We aren't here to scream or shout about the senselessness of it all. We're here to be supportive of our neighbors, to send a clear message of solidarity, and to show that we here in New York City are one city for all. The perpetrator allegedly expressed vicious anti-Asian sentiments as he committed the attack, leaving little doubt that his motivations were rooted in baseless hatred. The families of the victim and our community are still reeling from this brutal attack, but we are also standing together as one, declaring that this incident does not represent who we are as New Yorkers. New Yorkers care for each other, we respect each other, and we support each other during difficult times. Look around you and see all the different faces here today. This is what we are all about, uniting in our humanity. In a time when it's so easy to dwell on things that make us different, on the things that divide us, who we are standing here today and proving that we share, that what we share is all mostly we have in common. Hate has no place in Sheepshead Bay, and hate has no place in our city. We'll hear today from representatives from the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, Eric Gonzalez, shortly. And I just want to say that I have been in touch with the district attorney since January 15th, and he's been very accessible, and he's asking the grand jury that this should definitely be deemed a hate crime. And it's very important that when incidents such as this and others happen throughout the community, that we need to be vocal about it and let the communities and let the press know of what is going on and what's transpiring throughout an investigation of what could be said. Hate crimes across the city and across the world in recent years have increased. Here in New York City in particular, hate crimes in 2018 have had a 5% increase. And we as elected officials, it's very easy to come out to unity rallies and to stand at press conferences and shout and scream. But we need to take action. Just yesterday, my colleagues and I passed 2 bills in the City Council that will open a new mayoral hate crimes prevention that will require education outreach throughout our city, throughout our school system, on the consequences of bias, of hatred, and of prejudice. When I drafted my bill, I had no idea that within a few months, I would be standing here on a quiet street on Emmons Avenue and denouncing this brutal murder of 3 people who are our neighbors, our friends, our fellow New Yorkers. We have a saying in the Jewish religion that sometimes God sends the cure before he sends the plague. Well, the plague is here, and the plague is hatred. But we are equipped with the tools that we need to fight back, and to fight back with love, respect, tolerance, and unity. And I'm really grateful to be here with everyone here to show the support for our fellow human being, our fellow New Yorker, our fellow brother. And I want to thank my colleagues, in particular Councilmember Margaret Chin, who's been a very vocal and outspoken person in the City Council, as well as Councilmember Peter Koo, who is here today, and they are strong leaders on behalf of the Asian American community here in New York City. So before I call up my colleagues, I just want to send my deepest condolences to the families, because life cannot be replaced. I came back to the restaurant a number of times, and yesterday was the first day, yesterday afternoon, when the restaurant opened up for its first time since the 3 tragic incidents. And I was happy when I walked in, seeing that there was a table surrounded by 20 family members celebrating a birthday of a child and singing happy birthday. And walking in there and thinking back what just happened here a few weeks before, it gave me shivers down my spine, but it gave me joy just to see that people are coming back and people are united, and New Yorkers are not afraid. We stand up when we need to. And hate, bigotry, bias has no place, especially if just a few blocks down we have the Holocaust Memorial, where we, January 27th, just this coming Sunday, is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, where we remember atrocities that happened to millions of people. Today, we stand here for something that happened to 3 individuals here in Sheepshead Bay, here in New York City. And looking around, and you see people representing every corner of New York City, this is the make of what our city is all about. So without further ado, I'd like to call up my colleague, Councilmember Margaret Chin, to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilmember Deutsch, for your leadership on this. You know, a little more than a week ago, an individual cowardly and viciously attacked 3 innocent New Yorkers for no other reason than the fact that they were Asian. Tragically, over the course of 9 days, all 3 of these Asian men lost their lives. The murderer claimed to be inspired by a film depicting Asian men abusing Asian women. He entered the restaurant motivated by a pernicious racial stereotype of gender relation in my community, with a goal to massacre Asians. Believing himself to be sort of a savior, the attacker bludgeoned these restaurant workers while they were doing their job. Let's be clear, this was a racial hate crime, plain and simple. For that reason, I called upon our District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez, to stand with our community and prosecute these murders as a hate crime. This will ensure the coward who took their lives will answer for the ugliness of this crime. You know, as we mourn the 3 lives we lost, Mr. Pan Zhiwu, Pan Fufeng, and Wu Queqiang, we also must celebrate the lives they led and the people they touched. You see the diverse crowd here gathered today. This is a rebuke to the ugly views espoused by the attacker. We stand united today in solidarity with a community grieving. And I wanted to thank the families of the victim, and our hearts and prayers go out to them. Councilmember Deutsch, I thank you so much for hosting this rally and bringing all of us together, and also my colleague, Councilmember Koo, for coming here with Councilmember Traeger in solidarity, and all the elected officials and the community leader. We are sending a strong message that New York will never tolerate such an egregious and targeted attack upon any of the community that make up our great city. Hate has no place in New York City. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chin. Councilmember Koo.
Thank you, Councilman Deutsch, for organizing this really important event to express our sorrow and our condolences to the families of the victims. I'm Councilman Koo. I represent Council District 20, Flushing, Queens, which has the highest concentration of Asian Americans in the city, in my district. We're here to say sorrow and pay respect to the victims and their families. I also want to say I'm representing Flushing, so my community, the whole community is very sorry about this sad incident, this thing happened. So we must always stand together to denounce hatred and ignorance whenever we are singled out and targeted by racism and violence. We have gathered here today in solidarity with the families, friends, and community of those who live here were so wrongly taken. We want the families to know that we will use their sacrifice to fuel our determination as New Yorkers who live by the law and their strength and power in diversity. This was an act of evil carried out by a lost and deranged individual who had been somehow overwhelmingly influenced by ideals of cynicism, hatred, and negativity. As a city of immigrants, we stand together in unity of this act of hatred, and we offer our love and support to the family and the loved ones of those lost. So we want to say especially, we're very sorry to the families, to the family Pan Ji-woo, that he died at 50 years old, and Pan Fu-fei, he's much younger age, and the owner, Wu Tan, died of brain death on that day. So we hope we can use this tragedy to prevent further tragedies. I want to thank Councilman Deutsch and all my colleagues, and especially Councilmember Chin and Councilman Traeger here, and all my colleagues in government, and all the community leaders here to come and show support. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I just want to say how supportive my two colleagues, Margaret Chin and Peter Koo, have been over the last few weeks after this incident occurred. You know, when incidents such as this and others happens throughout the city, and we see it in the news for one day, we tend to forget. So I want to thank the press for being here today, for being here, sending our message out, our message of unity. When someone attacks one New Yorker, they're attacking all New Yorkers. When someone targets one individual, they're targeting all of us. And when someone messes with one, they are messing with all, and we will not stand for it. We will continue raising our voices and taking action in the City Council. I would like to call up now my colleague, Councilmember Mark Traeger.
Thank you so much to Councilmember Deutsch and his office for their leadership, and to all my colleagues in government and leaders from all across, I see, New York City and Brooklyn here. We are at the scene of a hate crime massacre. Make no mistake, a hate crime massacre. We're hardworking people in our community, hardworking immigrants, who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making this small business in this neighborhood a great place to live and to shop. We're butchered, massacred and butchered because of hate. And I'll also share with you that many immigrants also frequent this location and shop and dine here. I am the first Russian-speaking member of the New York City Council. This is a popular spot for the Russian-speaking community and for all communities. And we're all feeling this pain. As my colleague noted, an attack on one is an attack against us all. And today we're on Emmons Avenue, where this vicious hate massacre occurred. Last year, we were on 86th Street in my district in Bensonhurst, where there was vile anti-Asian American graffiti spray painted across a number of storefronts. There is something deeply wrong here. And there is a connection between the vile, disgusting rhetoric that we hear from leaders in our country that I believe trigger and have a role in the increase in hate crimes we're seeing across New York City and across America and across the world. So yes, we definitely call upon our district attorney to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law as a hate crime, as a murder, but also send a message to folks in government and leaders to be responsible with your words and your actions. It doesn't take much to trigger such horrendous, heinous crimes that we're seeing committed against our people. We will continue to stand in solidarity with all communities impacted by hate, but we also must hold ourselves accountable, our words, our language, and our actions, that we love and respect all. If we're truly united, then those words must be turned into action, an applied practice, and not just a slogan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, when a police officer leaves his or her home, their spouse tends to tell them, be safe, stay safe. When a firefighter goes to work, you tend to tell them, stay safe. But when someone goes to work to provide for the families at a local business, you don't tell that person to stay safe and be safe. No one should have to go to work, whether you're a first responder or a restaurant worker or a chef or a manager in a local business. This shouldn't happen here in New York City or anywhere in the world. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. I'd like to ask State Senator Andrew Granades to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. Doesn't work. Okay. From behind, you can't really see. Thank you, Councilmember. You know, I stand here today in unity with my colleagues and our community leaders, in mourning with the families of the 3 victims, in mourning with the community of Sheepshead Bay, in mourning with the Asian American community here in New York City, and in mourning with humanity at large. You know, we are living in a time of deep fear, of deep hatred, of divisions, of conversations of otherness, of others, of those people, and this has to stop. And it's incumbent upon all of us, elected leaders, community leaders, human beings from one to another, to make it stop. And we need to rise up with one voice united and say no to bigotry, no to racism, no to discrimination, and no to hate. As the grandson